A 10-2 curse is unprecedented, especially in VCT, but the fact that it happened to 3 teams in 3 separate regions in the same week is merely remarkable, given the fact that this rarely happens. 3-9 curses kind of seem a common theme, especially with how snowball Valorant is. You have momentum, you often win the games. All you need is a one good half, especially towards the end of the game if you're down. The 3 teams that have been victim to this is MIBR, Team Heretics, and RRQ. And so first, we're going to start with MIBR versus NRG. And we're going to go through all the games and share what they did wrong and how they let the other team make a comeback and how the other team took advantage of their mistakes. So after winning the pistol, NRG are in a bonus round, and if they win this round, they pretty much kickstart the momentum into their comeback and then also break the economy of MIBR. And so instantly, Tex is going to get a pick, and right off the pick, they attempt to flood. But from here, we throw a stun into elbow, but at the same time, we don't really have any smokes up. We're taking raw gunfights into backside. That's Tex and Ospots taking raw gunfights with no smokes up, and from here just get deleted. Which doesn't make sense. Well, yes, you're in a man advantage. You do want to take advantageous fights. And in this position, you're taking 50-50 fights. Like, yes, you could take, have the better aimer, but in this position, Verno gets killed, and then the rest of the squad gets killed before the spike is even down, which doesn't make sense. Like, yes, you get the man advantage. You can back off, take a set retakes, but you want to aggress. You feel like you're the better team. You want to push on an energy that has shown that tempo teams, they pretty much crumble on. But in this position where they're playing, another America's team, they pretty much get demolished in this scenario. Verno gets caught out, and the rest of the team in a fight or in a round where they pretty much stall NRG's momentum, they pretty much crumble. And as you can see, the coach calls a timeout. And one thing you start to note is that MIBR start to lack patience. Okay, so MIBR lose the eco, and now NRG are planning to B split. They're going to have 3 going through top mid, and they're going to have 2 going through B main. And instantly, Zegan is going to ult, and he sees 3. And so, right off the rip, these 2 should have a game plan and say, hey, most likely there's at least going to be 1. In this situation, there's 2 fighting through B main. And so let's fight together so that we can take space, because we're pretty much isolated on site. And so, as you see, Zegan ends up getting the kill, but he ends up getting traded by Ethan. And in this situation, yes, Verno could say, hey, I'm going to watch your back while you go peek and try to get a pick. And yes, Verno does get the trade, but overall, we lose sight. Because now, NRG have sight. And now what we start to see is this impatience from MIBR. The spike isn't even close to being planted. It's just a 3v3, and we're attempting to punish the players as Osmos is going to fight through elbow. As you can see, you can feel like he got the stun in an favorable fight, but he misses the stun, or, maybe just a little bit late on the stun. And from now, they're in a disadvantage. They lose the fight. Ethan takes a peak timing, and from there, they end up losing the round. And at this point, we start to feel the momentum shift where NRG is starting to take control of the map. And MIBR are doing the thing that they always have done this year, is start to crumble. And see, another example of that is Mana's in a 2v1. He's going to try to take a little bit of space, get a peak timing, gets a kill on Verno. So now it's a 1v1. It's a game of timings. Whoever has the best timing, and probably, the better aim is going to win this fight. And Tex, in clear open, sees Mata, sprays on him, misses, gets some damage, and in another instance doesn't confirm the kill. And so Mata has time pressure, has the cove in this situation, which is the saving grace, and gets a kill. Tex places the cam to the left of the cove. From here, Mata knows that, okay, if he's placed the cam, he's wrapping to the other side. They both whiff, no damage on either, but from here, it's back to a game of timing. We're in a little dance. Who can have the better timing? And Tex just misses the timing. Now he starts to make noise, and from there, once you make noise, you give yourself up and you lose the round. Which, in a situation where you had a bunch of time, NRG now have firm control, and MIBR are on the back foot. So now, NRG are now on map point. MIBR hasn't won a single round. And so what we're going to do is a B pop. We have Tex on site, no anti-KO setup. And from there, he gets tagged. All the trips are down. They have a free sight and a Viper's Pit. So now it's a 5v5 retake. Verno pops ult, is able to get a pick. We're in a man advantage. Yes, the spike is down. Second, pops his ult, and from there, Amada retaliates with his harbor ult. Get the spam kill. It's a 4v4. Second, the Phoenix ult ends, and from there, it's a 4v4. And we do a Phoenix Molly, a Neon Stun, and a Silver Dart. From there, we drop Viper Pit, we get some trades, and from here, it's a 3v2. Vernal takes the off timing, it's a 2v2 now. From there, Mizzino gets half, and what do we see? We see two isolated players not playing together, not in this situation depending on how you would play it. You can either hold the smoke or take individual fights. In this scenario, it works out for both teams. Each of them gets a pick. It's a 1v1 because Kiko gets a kill on Mizzino and Mata dies to Zekin. So in this situation, we do a right click into a shorty, just a matter of Kiko having better HP. And throughout the chaos, NRG is the team that knows how to handle it. In MIBR, the accusations are not being in their favor. One thing I want to know about MIBR and one thing I want to be critical on is that MIBR doesn't seem to have a set plan. Yes, they have the IGL where Vernal probably does a lot of their pre-planned, maybe set strats or, defensive setups depending on where they are in the round or where they are in the game. But it feels like there's just a whole bunch of ideas. And one thing I think that hasn't been scrutinized enough is that MIBR, throughout the past 2 years, ever since Vernal has been on the IGL, has shown a lot of inconsistencies. MIBR just seems like the team that needs an actual IGL for them to be able to prosper. Because even in a scenario where Aspas has, King as the IGL or even a Sadak as an IGL, those teams prosper, especially with this iteration of MIBR, even the last year, where your Artisan was the IGL and then it switched to Vernal. It just seems like there isn't consistency unless there is a vocal leader that has a set idea and has strong leadership within the team. And so that is something to carry on and something to think about. Okay, so Team Liquid in this 210 comeback, this is a first where Team Heretics actually win the pistol. And so this is their anti-eco. They have favorable guns, while basically Team Liquid have to force. And so they're in a man advantage. They lose some gunfights, take some raw duels, and then from there, it's in a 1v1. And in this situation with equal HP, the same gun, it's just a matter of timing. It's literally a 50-50. Throughout all the chaos, we have a chance to potentially close out this map and move that momentum on into the next map. But from here, it just so happens to be the case that Trex wins the timing. Okay, so we move on to a gun round. And what Team Heretics are going to do, they're going to do a P-pop. They have Phoenix ult. And one thing to note, I want to pause real quick. And as we look at the map is, if we look at their positions, one thing we're going to note is that how is our Phoenix, yes, he entered first, but how is our Phoenix already making a lot more space towards site, while Boot, who we don't really associate as a Neon, has a lot of hesitancy. He's pretty much done this within the past couple seconds. And in this situation, he takes his time or has hesitancy within this pass and doesn't take a lot of space as he goes onto site. And from here, creates a stall. And Benji Fishy is in no man's land. He's tagged with the spike. And from there, they just get punished. And so we're going to trade some ults. We're going to end up in a man disadvantage where Team Liquid have 4 and Team Heretics have 3. And so in this situation, we're going to think about it. Okay, Bull is 1 away from ult. And so what they're going to do is they're going to hold, draw a little bit at a time, hope Team Liquid get a little bit impatient. From there, they either need a pick or they can get spiked down and get Viper's Pit. And I think from here, they conversate a little bit and Boo is realizing, all right, we're going to fake tap. We're going to draw some util. We get the Phoenix Molly and then also the Harbor Wall up. From there, we get a pick. Cool. We're in an even situation. All we need to do is get Viper Pits up and then we can be in a favorable position. But Boo is pretty low. And so we're thinking about if we should, actually commit with this ult. From there, again, there's a little bit of hesitancy. Rienz is holding the flank. Boo is isolated on site, and then he pretty much loses. So Rienz is stuck alone, gets the pick on the harbor, and then from there, they just end up losing the round to a time. Team Heretics are on match point. What they're going to do is they're going to threaten Nest, fake like we're going into Nest. We're now going into double door. And from here, we pretty much have control of all of mid. And now, so these two players are isolated on site, and they're about to be crunched. And as you can see, Rans is going to go A main to clear it, just in case they fight for it as they go and rush mid. And one thing I want to note is, as we talk about hesitancy, especially with this team, is that there's a lot of it within the duelist pathing. We're going to look at Woot. We realize the mistake. Yes, Woot gets the trade on camo, but that leaves a lot of space for purple to control the site. If they go out and clear, this space where purple has taken, then from there, again, they control the site. But they don't attempt to capitalize on it. They hold. Koshmars isn't going to fight with, if we look at the map real quick, Koshmars isn't going to fight with Woot. And so from there, that leaves Team Liquid with time to rotate, especially with the spike down. And so, but each player, Rien's, this whole time still hasn't cleared A main. And from there, if he gets on this angle, he can probably kill purple for free. But again, there's hesitancy. Koshmars tries to take a solo timing, gets caught out by Nats. And from there, they just take raw gunfights and a man disadvantage, and they just get completely torn apart. So the mistake in this round I want to talk about is that the fact that not only is it the duelist pathing where there's a lot of hesitancy, but there isn't set layers for how, the team is operating within the mid round. From there, you can see that leaving space on the side allowed for the team to rotate to be able to get the remaining kills. And so from here, you see that the problem and the issues with Team Heretics as they go out through the rounds is the hesitancy. There isn't a set plan. There isn't, if there is a mid round, then there are, directly following it, and there's not layers attached, if things happen. And so, as we see, by allowing purple to have the space that he had within the round, that allowed Team Liquid to be able to get the picks and eventually seal the round. And just so many off timings on a lot of individual plays that just leave Team Heretics pretty much crumbling in this 2-10 comeback. Okay, and so we reached the final round. Team Liquid get a match point in overtime. From here, we're just going to do a B pop, and we're just randomly spamming. There isn't really any scan, no silver dart, and we just get spam killed. We're in a man disadvantage for Team Heretics. We get the trade from Woot. From here, we don't really have a lot to work with. They get info, or Team Liquid get info on 2, and Rienz is watching the flank. From here, it's pretty much a done deal. It's up, if Team Liquid get impatient, then Team Heretics are hoping that they eventually win this round. And if we fast forward a little bit, over 30 seconds have passed by. Okay, so now in the post plant, Team Liquids decide to retake. From here, they pass through backside. They take individual fights, and from there, they just complete the comeback. And from there, Team Liquid show. In my previous video, I made the prediction because it was announced that Nats wasn't going to make the first game, that Nats would show up in the second game, like, the same scenario as if when he came in Masters Toronto, I believe, or Penny subbed in, and he initially missed the first game, I believe, through visa issues. And in the same situation where Nats comes back for the second game, he completely crushes the competition. And I think the Nats narrative of him just being like, a dominant player and just being, the player that comes back and just does and plays the game really well, completely overrides, whatever hope you had for Team Heretics in this game. Okay, so now in GE versus RQ, one thing you're gonna note is that RQ are gonna love, man. They're gonna do a lot of A splits and B splits through mid, and from there they instantly get punished on after GE win the pistol. They get their bonus round, and from there Yudotan gets a 4K. And as we move through the series, one thing we're going to note is that RQ has a lot of opportunities for them to close out the round. In this situation where Jemkin gets 2 off of a flash play off of the Phoenix, one thing you're going to note is that Cushy is going to do a lot of questionable plays. As you see, they're in a man advantage if they win this round, while they're in a half buy or, in an odd buy. In this situation, they're highly favorable, even though they have less guns. They just got 2 off of a stinger. And one thing you're gonna know is what they decide to do next. And so we're gonna fade Prowler, we're gonna throw one, we're gonna throw a second one. Okay, we get info that a player's there. Jemkin gets 1 off of the op. It's a 2v5. It's a 2v5. And instantly, let's go back. It's a 2v5. What is Cushy gonna do? He's gonna flash Jemkin, gets him off the line. And instantly, Jemkin's gonna die just because if he's holding that line, most likely he's gonna get another kill. Cushy dies to the boombot, Xfero gets isolated, and then Crazy Guy gets isolated as well. By the time Udotan has ult, and from there, they close out the round. And so, I think, funny enough, this one mistake instantly springboards GE. If that doesn't happen, then clearly RQ win the round. And so that's very significant to the round. That's, a sign of RQ, being a little bit blinded by the details, not to be a little bit, not to make the pun about that. But again, we're going to see RQ. They're going to attempt to take mid. They had an insert in mid where a lot of the team walked up, but Cushy is going to take his own timing into a link. From there, he's just going to get it caught off on an off angle through Udotan. From there, the rest of the team, for some reason, is still going to split. It's a 2v2 on pretty much, either side of either B main or the link. And so GE in an advantage. From here, Autumn is going to get the kill with the op. Wanya gets caught in the timing. It's a 3v4. Now it's a 2v4. Okay, so we got a 2v3 now. Okay, so now a Crazy Guy is going to get a pick off a cave, and now we're in a 2v2. Again, we're in a winnable position, and so we finally get the round. And so one thing to note is that now RRQ have 6 chances. Yes, Cushy went off his own, got killed, but they end up closing the round. They have 6 chances. So GE get 3 rounds. And one thing interesting to note is that we're going to see this again. Now we're going to do a B split through B link and through B main. We have 2 in B main and 3 going through link. Patman is going to get 1. And from there, we're going to have a choke through Javi, especially with, the crossfire towards the link side. Autumn's going to get a kill. And from there, GE know how to handle it. Previously, they're in a man disadvantage, but from there, they just pretty much choke the attackers. And so now, we're going to fast forward into the overtime. And what do we know? A common thing in this round, Cushy and Jemkin now together are going to push through A-Link. So Cushy's going to put his wall up. He's going to give info. Jemkin is going to trade. And from there, what are we doing? An A split. Autumn gets a pick off of mid. And one thing I want to note as we go into this position right now, we can see that Autumn gets a kill off a top mid. And this is purely map awareness. If Autumn gets a map kill, then why isn't anybody holding for this link, this little elbow side of link? And from there, Manya gets cuts off of a timing just because they're attempting to rush right. While Jemkin does get, a kill on Udotan, it's a 2v3 now. And so now Jemkin has ult. We need to get Spike back. Bottom's there. Okay, now the real threat is if Xfero wraps on Crystal. Okay, Crystal has the timing. And they close the round. So again, one thing I wanted to note about this game was that there was a lot of decision to rather than just like mixing it up, hit the sites. There was a lot of emphasis on RQ hitting middle. And with their comps, with a lot of their comps and a lot of utility is known for stalling, being able to rotate, and also, just the team having a general understanding of how this team, wants to play. If they're hitting a B split, then GE have the protocols to understand it, and then they pretty much dismantle RRQ. And then RRQ, there's a lot of their own mistakes of them pretty much, team flashes, taking individual fights, pretty much being exploited by this GE team, and GET capitalizing on it is what allowed for a 2-10 comeback, and the third within the same week. And this one's pretty crushing, given that this map wasn't even close in the second or the first half of this second map, and which would have allowed RRQ to extend the series and GE and RRQ go into the third map. So overall, what these games showed was that a lot of these teams had just a lot of mental errors, a lot of impatience, a lot of things that were being exploited by the other team. Either the team had the individual skill to be able to match the teams whenever it got to the next phase of the map, or it was just a lot of the team that had the lead making a lot of mistakes, a lot of hesitation, not a lot of set plans. Because firmly, I believe if a team is confident, it doesn't matter what the plan is, as long as the team believes it, they're most likely able to close the round. But as soon as the momentum shifts and the other team has it, and you're on the back foot and you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to make a mistake, then that's where a lot of these teams crumble.